Hey guys, Doug here with the Frog News Network. How y'all doing tonight? Let me get the little froggy off there. We're waiting on Jeff. I haven't seen him in the back office. Multiple files. That's nice. I get to read something. I just come on StreamYard and they put something new on, so I should have to read that before I can talk. Where are you guys watching us from? Jeff was scheduled for tonight, and I haven't heard anything from him. Hopefully, he did get our email. We responded to him with 2 emails to let him know that we're on at 8 o'clock tonight. I hope he got the email. If not, we might be doing another call-in show. I got some other information, and we'll just go from there. You know, this is one of these things. It's sort of like the war we're fighting. It changes every time they make a move. We have to make a move, and we'll get more into why did Doug suddenly go over to Phil's page and say, I support you, Phil, 100%. We'll get into all that anyways. Hi from Tennessee, Anna, welcome to the show. The UK, welcome to the show. Let me make sure I click on that. The UK, welcome to the show. Ohio, welcome to the show, Mary. Yes, the lives on Telegram are becoming very popular. Know that we have once in a while, once or twice a week, Sweet 17 drops in. We have some great discussions over there. I was going to put a poll up there, but I'm going to talk to Superfoods about that. Ooh, I almost said her real name. Hi from Ohio. Connecticut in the house. Hello, how are you, Miss Vicky? Colorado, welcome to the show. Gastonia, North Carolina, welcome to the show. We're glad you're here. Holly from Louisville, Kentucky. Georgia in the house. Utah in the house. As we wait on Jeff Wallace, he's the constitutional guy that we had on before. Remember, he's super smart. And now I'll just come out and say it. He's not a lawyer, but this is the book dude sent me. Look how thick that thing is. I think I could talk my way out of jail if I read that whole book. I'm not joking. But hopefully he shows up. If not, hey, you know how I just can wing a show anyway. So I'll put my arm out and chicken wing it, and we'll just go from there, right, guys? You guys wouldn't want me to just end the show because he didn't show up, did you? We don't do stuff like that. That's Hood? You mean huge? Sorry. Laundersville, South Carolina. Y'all get all these weird names I can't pronounce. Tennessee, I can pronounce that. Cincinnati, I can pronounce that. Hey, Doug. Hi, Rhonda. How are you tonight? Welcome to the show. What's cracking, froggies? Hey, guys. It's just another day at the Frog News Network. Well, get a couple more people on here, and then we'll get things cranked up. I'm just going to play it by ear, guys. I got a website I can go to and grab information, but I can't upload the videos as fast as I would like. We're going to give Jeff till at least 10 after before I start a show and just wing it. It's basically what I'm going to wing it. I'm not going to get into he said, she said, or this or that between different shows. It's not what we're about. Me and Superfoods talked and watching other channels. It's more about bringing us together as people. God said in the end, there would be a lot of confusion. Whoo, there's a lot of confusion right now. And I mean to tell you that. And that's not what we want. We want to bring people together under God's name. Don't we really? That's what we want. And I slipped from grace the other day. And if that person is watching this show, I certainly apologize. There's no excuses. But I move on. I've talked to my pastor. We've prayed. I prayed about it, and I'm going to move on. That's all I can tell you. Uniting us all. That's it. Elizabeth City. Does that say Elizabeth City? Elizabeth City, North Carolina. I've been down there many times. That's a nice little town. Most of it. You know what? Yes, I'm still, as people say, I'm still a work in progress. And I think a lot of people are, and we fall from God's grace. A lot of people do every day. And as long as you ask for forgiveness God's, he's a forgiving God. I knew that he forgive me, but I had to make it public that I had made a mistake. And I let the person know that I was sorry also. That can't change what happened, but I can certainly just keep moving forward and try to be a better person and a better Christian every day in the future. If you read my timeline, you know that somebody heard me say something I shouldn't have been saying. I was just, how did they call it? I don't know, banter, locker room talk when you're talking to somebody, and how guys talk. You know how we talk. And that should be all out of my system now. But I guess one of them spirits got in me and bring back in, and then I prayed that spirit back out of me. I do apologize. I'm human, but here we go. We just keep on going. Shooting guy talk. You know how it is. And, we live in a world where I used to live in a world. I'm not there right now, where I can remember saying to myself, mine's better than theirs. I want what they got. I don't think that way anymore. I don't need to have what the Joneses got. I just need to keep up with spreading the word and keeping God first. If I make a mistake, admit to it and keep on continuing down the road. Whatever else I need, God will provide for me. I don't need to have anything, but God provides for me. And I don't need anything, but we serve a wonderful God. I'm letting it go, girl. Heidi. Okay, guys. So it doesn't look like Jeff is going to show. So here's something I'm just going to run across with you guys, and you guys can answer it in the chat. We got 400 on here. We're going to stay on YouTube and on the other channel. I don't see myself hopefully talking about anything. If I see myself going to start talking about stuff that could get us in trouble, I'll go ahead. Superfoods will warn me, of course, and we'll cut out the YouTube channels. So what I was wondering, we have these great chats, okay? And I was just wondering, because all of y'all seen in the chat all the time. Of course, you see on the screen now that I'm an independent distributor for the company mentioned in the screen. If y'all would like, I can bring people on that are doctors, and we can talk about the stem cell technology patches, and you could get more information that way. If that's something that would interest you, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't think it's such a good idea, put a 2. If you'd like, and under the same 1, if you'd like to hear more about becoming a distributor and learning more about what you can do to work at home doing it, put a 1 in. And then we can start a chat with people that are in the company with me. Either they work under me or above me in the company, and we can bring people in and show you more about it, and have a doctors come in and talk about how this great technology works. I have 2 patches on right now, one on my knee and one right here to help with my hernia. And they work. They actually work. So if that's something you'd like to do, we'll do that. If not, we'll just continue on. Not tonight. I'm just saying in the future. Some 1s, some 2s, more 1s than 2s. So what we'll do is, I would say this. What we'll do, and I won't force it on anybody. What I'll do is we'll run a poll inside the both chats, and then we'll go accordingly from there. And that's all I'll talk about that tonight. So, seeing that we're going to wing this thing like a chicken wing. No, this show ain't about selling, but it's about helping people. If it offends you, I'm sorry about that as well. This show's about informing people about what's going on in society under God's word. But I just wanted to share that with you. If it bothers you, I'm really sorry. Like I said, Janine, if it bothers you, I'm sorry about that. All right, so guys, here's what I'm seeing going on, and I've been watching a little bit of Phil. Let's start out. Why did Doug people say I endorse him. I just say I support him. Heck, if you called me or messaged me and said, "Do I support Mike?" I support Mike. Of course I do. I was just at his house. But I wanted everybody to know that I supported Phil too. I support both their shows. It's like me watching a channel on TV. Either I'm watching that show for the night or I'm watching another show for the night. I don't stay on the same show. I like to have a variety, just like the show has a variety of guests. So, with that being said, that's why I wanted to let Phil know that I supported him. And of course, y'all know that I support Mike. I was just at his house and spent an hour with him. He needs to get his rest. He's doing great. God bless him. But that's where I am with that. I just wanted to let him know he got in touch with me and said thank you. I'm like Phil. If you watched his show, we're all tired of waiting on something. We need some kind of a marker, and I don't mean just by a fence going up around the Capitol. We need to see some arrests publicly, and they need to come quick because this country is on the edge, and we've been that way for a while now. Speculation, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. We need something, and they need to show us quickly because the American people have run out of patience, and it's that's not a good thing. And what do y'all think about that? Yeah, I'm all about bringing people together and no more tearing people apart. Even in our Telegram group, me and Superfoods talk, during the daytime, and say we need to promote more positivity, even in our YouTube. So if you come here and start negativity, chances are you'll be removed because we just don't need that. You're not going to find me, and I used to be very guilty of it, talking about other shows. And have you seen lately? I won't. If I talk about them, I'll tell you that I like them, or I won't speak of them at all. But it's time to bring us all together, not drive us apart. Once again, in the end, it's going to be mass confusion. We need to come together as one and fight this evil cabal. But what I'm seeing in DC is complete pandemonium. Really, today was dead. But what Nancy Drew is that's what I call her. She has several names up there. But what she's been uncovering, Blackhawks landing at the Pentagon, that kind of stuff don't happen. It'd be, uh, choppers would land, but it wouldn't be that them are combat troops. You know what I mean? That's special forces landing there. This isn't to bring a dignitary in or a general in. You follow what I'm saying? This is I would imagine arrests were made at the Pentagon. I would imagine the giant fences. This is just my opinion now. I have no proof. Let me say that up front because I'm just winging it here. And in my opinion, is just like, anybody else's. I haven't there isn't a whole lot of intel anymore. As I watched Phil's show today, he said every week he's getting less and less intel. He has one source. And then, basically, his intel yesterday is his name. Phil was one of the Q drops. So he said, if I mean anything to you guys, you need to show me something. Show me, make a move, do something. Make an arrest, show us something significant. That's where I'm at too. But it's so close. So I'll get into this, and I normally don't talk about this. The RV's close, real close. What is the RV? It's called the reevaluation. And what is the reevaluation? The reevaluation, and like I said, guys, I quit talking about this a long time ago, but tonight's show will go a little bit into it. The reevaluation is where it's going to take the poorest country's money and make it 1-to-1 with our money. And you're saying, wait a minute, there's some really poor countries where their dollars would take thousands, if not 10,000 of their dollars to make $1 of ours. But seeing that President Trump already owns all the banks in the world now, this is what's going to happen. They'll still be our currency and they'll be their currencies. They'll all be rainbow currencies now around the world. I don't know the exact number of countries, but the banking system will be backed by gold and silver and precious metals again. And when that happens, everybody's dollar under the reevaluation, such a beautiful thing, will be 1-to-1. And the poorest countries will get the most help first: Nigeria, Vietnam, Africa. And this is no hidden agenda. This has been talked about for 25 years. And if you don't know, where you want to say, oh gosh, where did you get your information? Mr. Fleming. There's about 3 others that I listen to all the time. And Mr. Fleming's, as far as I know, has been having a show for over 15 years. He knows exactly what he's talking about. There's been some delays, and most of the delays are from our country, in our treasury. You got to know, within our treasury, the Democrats are still in control. But the greatest thing that I heard in the last 24 hours were that tier 3 bonds in Germany are being paid out. And what does that mean? It's never went that far before, ever. They're getting liquidated. They're getting their cash. So for Nassar to happen, the reevaluation has to start first. Once the reevaluation starts, then Nassar can start. And we know what Nassar is. It's a new government that will be in, all brand new. That's why you're seeing the same 16 people on TV. That's why you're seeing the same people all the time. They're paid actors at this point. The rest of them folks up there have been arrested a long time ago. And that's a speculation too, but we can remember Mustang Medic's claim to fame, remember, was when he filmed at 2:00 in the morning and there were buses and teams of 3 people going inside the Capitol. Well, let me reassure you, that was it wasn't military tribunals yet, but they were JAG lawyers. They were the JAG helper and an assistant. They travel in threes. That's how JAG moves. All these things are military tribunals. They're not going to be tried under our court system, which is all corrupt. So that's how everything's going to change. That's why the military has been hidden till the point where it can't be hidden anymore. We've been under full military law, as far as I know, since the year 2000. Since Russell Gould saved the flag, we've been under martial law. All the presidents forward from them were illegitimate presidents, as far as I know, my opinion. They haven't been real presidents. They've been really playing presidents, including Trump. But Trump will be back. But under Nassar, now, if he comes back as the president, that's one thing. But here's what you got to know. If you want to go look up Nassar, go to DuckDuckGo and look up Nassar. Nassar says within the first 120 days, Nassar, the new government, our new system, goes into effect. We have to elect a new leader. Well, then you're saying, well, he already won it. He won it under the old system. He might have to be reelected. We probably run unopposed, but he might be reelected under the Nassar stuff kicks in. Are y'all following along? We talked about this a long time ago. I quit talking about it 4 or 5 months ago. I don't have any dates, but when Nick Fleming says, make sure you don't leave your house tomorrow between 12 and 4 o'clock, and that's just because of the people, I can't go into it real deep. If you have exchanges or whatever, you want to make sure that you're around, because notifications might be going out between 12 and 4 tomorrow that we're really, really close to Nassar. That means the money is in the bank. Everything's ready to roll. I don't know when it'll be. Could it be in the next 48 hours? Maybe. Could it be in the next week? Maybe. I don't have them answers. I just know that it's never, ever went this far before. Tier 3 has never been paid out, the German bonds. Never. They have been paid. People have got their money. So that's a good sign, really good sign. Yeah, it's never been explained in a good way, but you can go look at Nassar and how things will change with our whole country, because under Nassar Gassara, they're going to take care of the elderly and people. The first thing, what about my Social Security? That's all been taken care of. What about my money under the RV? It's all being backed up in the bank. New currencies will come out. The first currencies that will come out will all be chipped, even the coins. You rob a bank, they know where the money went. It'll all be run by quantum computers. We're getting ready to, they're getting ready to do what else? Go away with cell phones. They'll be called Q phones. They will be supplied to you. They'll be 6G. That's what I was hearing last night. This is all great stuff. When will it hit? I don't know, but this is the plan. This is what we're hearing from high intel sources. So, that's what's going on right now. I know we're supposed to have Jeff on tonight, but I'm just winging this, guys. So bear with me. I mean, Superfoods was the one that told me about the phones, and now that they were mentioned last night, they called them Q phones. So that's what's coming. And people say, "Well, what's Q?" It's intelligence. What's QAnon? There's no such thing. There's Q and there's anons. Q is the intelligence. Anons is the people that decrypt the drops. And that's just like they decrypt the drops. People decrypt the numbers now. It's two of the same, but not. The military intelligence is Q, and it could go far back as God because of the 17th number. But the number thing is God's way God communicates. I don't know that much about it, so I can't speak on it. I haven't had time to study it, but I want to learn more about it. I have anything bad to say about it. I just get very confused with numbers. I've had about 7 or 8 people try to teach me it, but I'm not good at math, but I can count to 1,000,000. That means I can get to 1, I can get to 2,000,000. That's all I need to know, really. I don't need to know the square root of this or that. But there is, I think, a page that you can go in, and if you catch the drop, you put whatever it is, and I don't even know how they come up with the letters and the numbers, but I'm sure there's, Charlie knew how to do it. Negative 48 knows how to do it. Mike and them know how to do it. ML and them are very good at it. Hats off to them; they're very good at that. I'm more into, what I learned, what I watched. We all know that when Trump came in office, and we went back to that with Charlie on the show. We talked about he went across the whole world, and every major country capitulated to him, and the banking systems did as well. So he's taken over the world banking system. That's why there's part of me, just a little part of me, don't think that he will return as a president. I think he might return as like king of the financial world financial or something like that, and there'll be somebody else to run the country. But we're going to be under Nasara, so I'm not even sure if there'll be a Democrat and Republican, you know, sides to. You got to understand, they've been digging around the White House. They've been digging around the Capitol. They've put giant fences up. In the end, guys, we heard back when I was with Mike, we heard that they were going to blow all these places up. They're satanic. And it sure looks like they did a lot of digging to plant something. What were they planting? Who knows at this point? Can it be, charges to blow the buildings up? I don't know. Nobody knows. It's a whole lot of people don't know. And it's just speculation. Like I said, I wasn't prepared for this show. I didn't go out and look for anything new today. I do know that, I don't really watch the news, but a little I've seen, people are standing up to the school boards. They're drilling the attorney general. The countless senators are asking him to resign for saying that he was going to sic the Department of Justice on people that stand up for their rights under the Constitution. A father that stands up for his daughter getting raped in the bathroom. They took him away in handcuffs because he questioned what they did. He didn't threaten them. He questioned them. How can you let this, that's craziness. And it's got to stop in this country, and it's about to stop. So from what I understand, any taxes you've paid in your life, you will be returned. Any taxes on your paycheck, on mortgages, on anything you were taxed on or you paid the IRS, all that money's coming back to you. Your birth certificate money's coming back to you. I said I would talk about this again, but this, I can go right back to the stuff we were talking about. This is what's in the SAR. I encourage you to go look it up. The seniors will get medical care like never before. They'll probably be paid, I think my brother was telling me, 4 to 8 times as much as they normally get from Social Security now. The med beds will take care of get rid of the doctors. They're real. The med beds are real. That's why the doctors are complicit on killing people, because they want to keep their jobs. They're just doing what they're told. Their job, they're about to be picking your trash up in about a year unless they got a good portfolio. What do we need them for? We're all going to be cured. You're going to be cured of everything. Know that Sweet 17 told us all about the college up in New York. They're the ones that put all the stuff in our food that kills us and makes us need the drugs to keep going along. I was in Aiken and Dr. Atkins. I've actually got his information and all his stuff downloaded about what minerals we should be taking, magnesium, and several other ones. That help you fight against all these diseases that your doctors won't even tell you about. And one thing he was talking about is we get parasites as human beings. They treat parasites, worms. Hello, they get them in animals. What do you think? We're not part of the animal family that the human body doesn't get parasites. Don't you think that causes bowel obstruction or bowel disease or cancer in your stomach, in your digestive system? We're never treated for parasites. Think about that. And normal minerals that come out of the ground can actually cure a lot of stuff. So we're getting ready to find out all these things as we go forward. And I think I heard somebody say that Trump actually said last week, and I'll say his name, I don't think that's against the law, stated that the week coming up, and he stated this late last week, will be a week to remember forever in our country. And we're going to ourselves, well, this was supposed to be Red October and we haven't seen a thing. Where in the world, where the hell is Durham at anyway? Or is he even real? At this point, we're all wondering that too. So if you're frustrated, heck, I'm right along with you. I'm frustrated as well. So let me look at some of the comments. It's pure trash. Yes, it is. Obama was arrested a long time ago, brother. I think from what we gathered, they're on the third clone. The second one ran away and they had to shoot it, and they're on the third clone now. So I'm just reading. So I haven't stopped. I haven't frozen up. Throw us a bone. There is no bones right now, guys. The bone is these little patches. They're the med beds before they come out. That's all I can tell you. It keeps freezing up in PA. It's probably your internet connection and not us. You're totally confused right now. That's exactly the way they want you. Because if you're still watching TV and believing what they're telling you on there, you're going to be confused. You need to do your research. I respectfully ask you to go to DuckDuckGo and put in Nasara. If Superfoods, if you can find us a PDF on Nasara on the internet and throw that in the chat, I encourage you. And then what I'll do is I'll look it up and show you exactly what it says, how we're going to be backed again. The US dollar is going to be backed again by gold, silver, and precious metals. There'll be no more wars. All countries will have no more nuclear weapons. There'll be 1,000 years of peace. We'll take care of there'll be no more homeless people. There'll be no more poverty. We will help every country. Nobody will be homeless. Here's what it is for thousands of years, the cabal has stole so much money from everybody, from our parents or our grandparents, for thousands of years, that they have all the money, but we reclaimed all that money. And no, they can't give it to you all at one time or nobody would work. We would all fold like a lawn chair. But you're going to be rewarded for what you do. The first, they're going to take care of the babies they need to take care of that it would rescue. Know that a lot of them that came from underground did not survive once they came above it because of it's like a diver. When they go down, they get the bends, they come up. If you were born 30 to 40 miles underground, you'll never be able to survive above ground. Your body is not used to that. But the ones they could save, that's the ones that go to the med beds first. The soldiers that seen the slaughter of all this terrible human trafficking stuff, they'll get in the med beds, and that we can do it, just roll their minds back to where they didn't see that. A lot of that's coming and they're using it right now. In the next 5 years, every hospital will be med beds. There's no more emergency rooms or anything. You will go there and be cured of everything. You'll learn how to connect your body with the earth. Everything Tesla did is true. they shut him down because he invented the cell phone and back in the 20s. It just now came out, what, 25 years ago? There's Jeff Wallace right there. So let me jump on with him and bring him in. Okay, guys. How was that for a fill-in while we're waiting on him? Let me take this off here, Jeff. I'll be right with you, bud. Nice of you to come in. Let me get that off the screen. Brand. Give me just a second, bud. Here we go. Hey, Jeff, how are you, bud?
Man, I am so sorry. I thought that this meeting was tomorrow.
Oh, well,
and
that's okay.
I just hit my emails, and there it was, and it said log on tonight. So I hit it.
Well, I'm glad you showed up.
Hopefully, I didn't miss a whole lot because you usually
have a good intro. I was just talking about some things that people weren't aware of, that things are actually happening that behind the scenes that we're not seeing. I'm listening to some pretty well connected people, and tier 4 is paying out the German bonds now on the RV. It's never went that far before. So the RV, the reevaluation is very close, and NASAR is very close right now. Within the next week, I think we'll see NASAR, and that's a new government. And if we go to a new government, I think even in the rules of NASAR, it says you have to elect a new president within 120 days of that happening. So we'll just have to see from here. Of course, it's all speculation on I had to fill in, man. So I had to give him some of the rainbow and lollipop stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, did you even try calling?
I couldn't find your phone. Once I realized that I couldn't find the text that you texted me last week from, I was panicking because it was already like 7 minutes to the show. I had text Colleen and I says, "Oh
yeah, no, it's totally my fault. I mean, you can see I'm
that's all right.
I'm ready to go.
Our viewers want to know more knowledge about our rights under the Constitution, and I'm sure they can't stick Department of Justice on people that attend school board meetings. I would think that's number one thing. That's a scare tactic, by the way.
Well, the county sheriff sure can, but right here, Doug.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I sent it to you or not.
This?
No. That's my book. I was just thinking about that the other day. Yeah. That book of mine is the only one in America that claims to be able to fix the whole dadgum thing.
Wow.
So, I mean, look at the title. In God We Trusted, the U.S. Constitution and the Restoration of America.
Absolutely phenomenal.
This right here, you can see it. It's called the Mandates Brief. This is everything that the Supreme Court of the United States says about the situation that we're in right now. And I have really big type on here so I can read it from stage.
Okay.
And but
you can go over it. I welcome you to go right over it and tell our listeners.
Yeah, but there's that little intro here.
Okay, go ahead.
I had people, if we put this in normal type font and double spaced it like you would a regular court brief, it might be 4 pages. So if 4 pages of documentation can solve the whole entire mandate issue, then why won't anybody pick it up and do anything with it?
Because they don't want to fix it. The people in office right now are here to destroy and systematically destroy our government and our banking system and our economy, and that's what they're doing.
Well, yeah, but some of the people that work with some of the people that are, very well, I don't want to name names, but this one guy with a certain group of doctors, he personally called me and said, "Hey, look, can you, I'm here in Mississippi, and I work with these guys, the famous ones, and can you do anything on the mandates?" And I said, "Sure."
Okay.
So it took me about 15, 20 minutes to find every single thing that the U.S. Supreme Court says about what to do with mandates. And then remember we did last time, about are you smarter than a first grader?
Yes, sir.
To really intimidate the courts and the judges, I put the first grade textbook in there on the mandate issues because they used to teach all this stuff in the first grade. Remember, you showed me that little Constitution. You can put it in your pocket.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
You can put it in your pocket. So how hard can it be? But then when you go to present that to the person that requested it, and they're standing there at this big rally here in Mississippi, and the guy's panicking because his next speaker is holed up in traffic coming from the airport. And he looks me in the face and says, we don't have time for you to present this today.
How to save America, and you got the answer, but we don't have time for you.
Right. So what I'm doing is I'm calling out everybody that I can meet and say, are you really, really serious about making America great again? I hear a lot of platitudes. I mean, I've been to a lot of rallies, and most of these rallies, and I'm here to tell you, and I'm pulling no punches anymore. I'm going for the jugular, and that is there's a place and time for all of that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I mean, we've run across each other quite a few times.
Yes.
And we know why we're there and what we're doing, but you and I are there to meet people that want to do something.
Right.
We got too many people in the bleachers right now, not enough people on the field.
Yeah, we need players, not an audience.
Right. And so I'm sitting here claiming that this little 10-page pieces of paper right here has everything that the U.S. Supreme Court original precedent on the situation right now will solve the problem. Is there anybody in America that has the guts to call me and say, let's talk? Because I'm not letting this out of my hands. I'm not going to give it to some politician or attorney to put it in their drawer and say, that's nice. We need to, what does this guy know? And the only thing I claim to fame, Doug, is I'm smarter than a first grader.
Well, you're smarter than most people then. That goes back to when I was talking to a preacher one day, and he said, do you know God repeats himself over and over and over in the Bible? And I said, why does he do that? He said, because most people are stupid. He
made us. He made us. He knows how dumb we are. and I bet I can't wait to get up there and just him and Jesus Christ are gonna be giggling their butts off. Saying, you guys made it, but good God, how many people didn't? It was too simple.
Right. So you just basically teased us with that paper. You're not going to read what's on it.
Well, I mean, that's up to you. I'm just telling you, I'm venting here. What
you're saying is, let me say this then. So if we have anybody of any authority that's watching our show or going to watch the recording of the show, this man is a constitutional scholar. He's written several books. He has written several briefs for doctors. He knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to the Constitution. So listen, somebody put this man on stage and let him talk, please. I'm asking you now. And I know Brad Barton might watch this show. I know a lot of other people of high influence, what a lot of people feel. If you're watching, please get this out on your channel. I will share this show on Phil's channel. He's got 340,000 people. We need people to get you in front of the camera and in front of people like Right Side Broadcasting that cover some of these events and get you up there speaking and get this word out. I'm asking you to get in touch with me, and I'll put you in touch with Jeff. Go ahead.
Well,
Jeff.
With that in mind, Seth Keshel's from Mississippi, and he's just a phenomenal guy. Him and Constitutional Cowboy, and I know both of them, and we talk back and forth and trying to figure out how to make things happen. And Seth was doing everything he could to get me in the Vegas event last weekend.
Right.
I don't mind giving up the stage to those two gentlemen that were there, Juan and Jim. They are really something. So But
I do have Clay's number now.
so do I. I mean, I talked with,
but that doesn't mean he's going to let you on stage.
No, I talked with Clay in Tampa, and explained who I was and stuff. And he said, I'll have you on your podcast. And, all I gotta say, hey, Clay, were you telling me the truth or you just pull my leg? But I don't care. I don't take anything personal. I just ring the Liberty Bell real loud. I've been doing this for almost 42 years. And, it's so refreshing to see that people are waking up and wanting to know now.
Yes, that's it.
And
Jeff, I think it's come to this to where they had you don't want to say it's not a poll, but somebody's keeping track of how many people that has to wake up before it's all revealed. How much does it take? How much can our country take? And we're right there, because even the people that voted the other way want change now, and you don't see no Biden signs in anybody's yard. And I don't want to get political. I'm just saying, because right now I don't even believe there's two parties. I believe it's communism against us keeping us free, and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I mean,
we're fighting for our freedom here.
Well, you got to hit rock bottom before you can bounce back up. And
yeah, I think you're right.
LT is the one that does, and we know, right? That's what he goes by, as LT.
I believe that's it.
He was talking about Moses and the children of Israel. I mean, they were neck deep in water with their backs turned to the water before that water parted. And they weren't looking forward. They were looking back at the chariots coming after them instead of looking at God and the deliverance in the front. And God still saved their rears.
Well, I don't know the whole story, but I remember this explorer went to another. They took their boats and went to a new place, and they didn't want to stay. And I don't know the entire story, but they got off the boats. They didn't want to stay and try to make it there. They wanted to get back on the boats and go away. And he had all his men burn the boats, so they were motivated.
Oh yeah,
that's where we're at now. We need to burn the boats.
Yeah, that was Cortez in Central America.
Yes,
and he ended up picking a fight with the Aztecs.
Wrong thing to do.
Well, no, he won. They had armor, and the Aztecs didn't even have any metal except for gold. And so, but anyway, yeah, that's another story.
But that's another story too. Right? But I will just say that's where we're at now.
Yeah, burn the boats. Burn the boats.
Well, what they're trying to do now is, and I know this is a little off topic, but there's none of the United States products stuck out at sea right now. How many billions of dollars a day you think it's costing China for that stuff to sit out in the water? We're hurting their economy pretty bad, even though it's hurting our shelves in the stores. We're crushing their economy, whether people realize that or not. Nobody knows. Our stock market could have crashed months ago, and they're just hiding it. Nobody knows. You know what I mean?
Most people aren't in the stock market, so it's not going to affect them directly.
Yeah, but what the average American needs to get up, question everything that's going on, from school boards to city council meetings to who bring up the party in their town. It's time to know your rights as a United States citizen, right?
Yes, I've got a gal. I mean, we're about this close to getting a true patriot on a school board here in Mississippi.
Wow.
And they think, well, we got to do something about school boards. We got how many races did you fund this year, and how many people did you recruit, and how many did you train the teams to go out and knock on the doors?
That's it. I mean, and then some people say, how can I get involved? What can I do as one person? One person, I guess you'd want to describe that to is like, I seen one time, an ant can't do nothing, but about 10,000 ants was dragging like this pork chop. And I was going, that's how you make a difference.
Absolutely.
Right there.
Absolutely.
Our strength is in numbers, correct, Jeff? Our strength is in numbers. There's more of us than them. It's time for us to stand up and be heard and say, we've had enough of this.
I saw a thing today that I'm probably going to meet with them tomorrow. It's a guy that, that's been on your show a number of times, and I tell you, he repeated your name this is one of the big celebrity guys with the taps. He lives here in Mississippi.
Oh, you talking about
Yeah, that guy, Toto.
Toto? I love Toto.
He lives about 15 minutes from me.
Oh, he does?
And I'm going to
He's
go
a
to
very smart man. And well, if you could teach him any more about the Constitution, I'd be impressed because he knows pretty much that thing pretty good too.
Yeah, I mean, he does. And but I'm going to challenge him for his whole entire audience, if he'll have me on, and offer him a first edition copy of the book that's worth.
You gonna do the first grader thing with him?
Well, yeah, and this book right here says Mississippi Constitution and the Restoration of America.
Wow, okay.
Brad Barton's he got one of the first 100 copies of the book.
Me and Brad were just at an event down in Aiken, South Carolina last weekend.
Yeah, and him and most of his partners in his business, they got 50 of the first 100 copies of that book, and then about 2 weeks later, it went off the market because the publisher closed down, literally shut their doors, and so that was Lifeway Bookstores that published it originally. So,
wow,
he knows the book and he knows me, but we just hadn't been able to cross our paths close enough yet. And
I'm trying to get him to come on my show so we can talk about taps because, well, it depends. Now, I don't know. If we're going over the Nasara, does that even be effective? But who knows? But let's stick with what we know for right now, for sure. What we know right now is the Constitution is still in effect to this day, this hour, this minute. This is what we need to go by.
You keep moving ahead. There's, like I said, I've been ringing the Liberty Bell for 41 and a half years, and not always in the realm of the Constitution itself, but I was looking for.
So let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
A mandate is not a law. It's just a suggestion whether you're willing to accept it or not, from what I read so much of the definition of it. Is that correct?
Why don't we just go to the first grade textbook?
Let's go. Y'all ready for this? Y'all smarter than a first grader? It's not a fourth grader. It's a first grader now.
No, in all seriousness, and this is the second half of my brief. And the reason I like to go to the first grade textbooks because it puts it on what I call the dirt road level.
Right.
Because this highlighted section, I'm going to send you this in an email.
Okay.
So you can have it.
Thank you for that.
And, give it to anybody, everybody, share it. But please do not try to present this in court without me. This is copyrighted material. My name's on it. And I doubt, I mean, if the Attorney General for your state can't tell you the definition of a Bill of Rights, they're not going to be able to present this case. But anyway, if you put it in the first grade level, and it says right here that it's designed to the Constitution. This is the summation of the U.S. Supreme Court. There's one book, Doug, one book that tells you everything. It's called Joseph Story's Commentaries on the Constitution of the United States. It was taken out of the curriculum in about 1930, and now all we have is judicial empiricism. What this judge over here thinks it means, what this judge over here thinks it means. You have no constitutional integrity. There's no two sides to a stop sign. But let's just start here with this is the summation paragraph of the whole entire book on how the Constitution was developed, citing every precedent for every clause. Starts with Columbus's trip to sail across the Atlantic. So our Constitution begins with the voyage of Columbus. And so you've got to know the voyage of Columbus and to understand why the Supreme Court sets that date and that precedent. But I will tell you that he didn't name the first island that he found our savior when he was out there looking for a trade route.
Right.
So that should give you an idea of why he was sailing. But anyway, this is what the Supreme Court says about itself. This was a unanimous work by the entire. See, we were British before we were English.
Right.
We used. This is their textbook. It's called Commentaries on the Laws of England. That's where we get the laws of nature and nature's God, and that we talked about last time with the first grader stuff, and now endowed by our Creator. That's in the introductory chapter of that book is where it came from. Legal. So it's legal phrases with legal definitions. So this replaced that in 1833. You can get it online. Everything's clickable. The footnotes are clickable. It's just amazing how simple it is. But the Supreme Court says this, and this is, I think, where we've missed it the most. It says, let us never forget. You know, we've forgotten. We've let it slip by. Let us never forget that our constitutional governments are solemn instruments addressed to the common sense of the people and designed to fix and perpetuate their rights and liberties. They are not to be frittered away to please the demagogues of the day. They are not to be violated to gratify the ambition of political leaders. Don't let a good crisis go to waste. This is saying, don't matter what the crisis is or what your ambition is to fundamentally change America, you can't you can't do it because it's supposed to be fixed, and it's supposed to appeal to the common sense of the people themselves. And so that's why we know that what's going on is a bunch of crap, because we have that innate ability, especially if you're a Christian, for God to work in you both the will and do of his good pleasure. That endowed by our Creator thing is not poetry. And so God's teaching us and telling us from the inside, and that flame and that fire is just building and building and building, that, you know, this is wrong from every level. But here's the Supreme Court. They are to speak the same voice now and forever. So that's the precedent. What the heck did George Washington say about it? It doesn't matter. And then here's the clincher. They are of no man's private interpretation. That's a verse of scripture. That's 2 Peter 1:20. But this is telling, not only, this is the Supreme Court telling itself that the Constitution itself is of no private interpretation.
Right.
And the rest of that verse is because holy men of God spake as they were moved by the Holy Spirit. So if you read my book, you'll see how they took this right here straight out of King Jimmy.
Yep.
And some of it is, you know, like right here, they quote a verse of scripture, but they don't tell you the scripture because they were a biblically based people in all aspects. They knew that they're quoting a scripture here. Same thing with these other things. It's so simple that a fool should not err therein. You know, there's like 12 different verses of scripture in this one paragraph. But then it says, the Constitution is of no man's private interpretation. They are ordained by the will of the people and can be changed only by the sovereign command of the people. So that shuts down even the court's ability to opine on the issue when you put the precedent on the table. You just put it on the table, read it, put it on the table, explain a few things.
It pretty much just said, didn't it, Jeff? There's no other interpretations but what's written right here. Now, when you get a judge or the Supreme Court's making their opinion about the Constitution, that is like you go into a church and the pastor reads the Bible and he goes, I think God's trying to say this. No, it says what it says in the book.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
Right.
And you and I.
Right.
There's 2,000 different denominations in America alone.
Right.
And, you know, they don't, I mean, I know Shane, he gets a lot of crap over there at Waveland because he has a unique ministry. Right. And he's very intimidating to the guys that have been there forever.
Right.
And he's got a massive, massive following. He's got a lot of energy. and they're really jealous of what he's been able to do outside of Little Hancock County.
Here's the story with Shane, and he was just on Pastor Henry's show the other night.
That's what I was watching.
When but for our listeners that weren't listening, I encourage you to go over to WUCC's Facebook page and watch, or you can go to Toto's page and watch it. He talks about, he would preach since he was 16. He got himself in a little bit of trouble and what this or that, but he was where he wasn't preaching much and his wife was preaching.
Yeah.
And then God told him to just pull to the side of the road and tell everybody. And he made that speech about the Constitution. And he told everybody, if Mike Pence don't do this, this is what can happen next. And little did he know,
10 million
he thought
people.
he was done preaching. He was down and out when he made that video. Within like a week's time, 10 million views. He was on Newsweek. It was on all the big networks. It was everywhere. You don't want to say, God just told him to pull over and make that video right in his car with his phone. And since then, he's had many shows on the Constitution. That show with Pastor Henry the other night was incredible. He got to talking about, and it's a little off subject, that his wife actually died, and they said she'd never live. And then God resurrected her. Just all her organs were good. They said everything failed her in her body, and then everything went back to complete normalcy. So the power of God is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And a lot of my classmates from seminary, they want me to write a book on signs, miracles, and wonders in my own life. And I just tell them, Doug, there's enough signs, miracles, and wonders in the Bible that of what individual people did in the New Testament, especially in the book of Acts. That, and Jesus even said that everything I've done, you can do too. And so we just don't believe that we can do the things that Jesus Christ did. I mean, why did God give us Holy Spirit if we're not going to use it?
Absolutely.
And it's if Jesus did it in his ministry, he was showing us what it means to be a son of God. And we're supposed to be doing that for each other. And so, I mean, I literally can write a book on my life. And, my wonderful wife's just sitting back over here in her little office doing her thing. I mean, I've seen her little certificate with the time stamp on it, ended here. And it was on her surgeon's in a frame on the wall. And we go in there and he says, I wanted to put this here on behind that wall to remind myself that there is a God and he's not me.
Wow. And, that's powerful right there.
Well, yeah, but it should be normal occurrence for people that believe. But let's get to the first grade here. Okay,
I'm sorry we get off subject. When you started talking about Toto, he's my buddy. He's a great teacher too, because I watched him teach in Aiken, and he talk about he's a really good teacher also.
Yeah, that's why I want to. And Bonafide even told me in Florida. Well, you were standing right there in Naples. He said you need to get in touch with Toto. Well, the next weekend I was in Napa, California for a wedding, and then I had speaking engagements in these rallies here in Mississippi. And then last week I got a phone call where I had to literally drop everything I was doing and fly to Houston, Texas as fast as I could because my daughter-in-law was going into labor and somebody needed to take care of the 2-year-old.
Right. Okay.
So this weekend I'm going to be home, and like I said, it takes me 15 minutes.
I will forward his email address to you.
Well, I've sent him a number of emails. I'm just going to go shake his hand.
There you go.
But I'll take it.
If he's 15 minutes away, I would just go shake his hand.
Well, right, but I have to be home.
Right, I got you.
Okay, so this comes from a book called Elementary Catechism on the Constitution by Arthur J. Stansberry. In George Washington's farewell address, he said the earlier we teach the science of politics, political science, as soon as the earlier we teach the science of politics to our young posterity, to the next generation, the better off our country is going to be. So this is what they were teaching in first grade. And this is everything that you need to know about the mandates on the first grade level.
Okay.
But and this was before Joe's Stories commentaries came out. But it says, does the president do more than communicate information to Congress? Yes. His duty is also to recommend to them such things as he thinks will be for the advantage of the country. Question: are they obliged to do as he advises? No. No. They pay respectful attention to what he says to them and listen to the reasons he gives in favor of the measures he recommends. But they are at full liberty to follow their own judgment in all cases. Is it to be desired that Congress should always comply with the advice of the president? I'm asking.
Well, I don't think they have to comply with anything that he suggests or does.
Yeah, but this is first grade. No, no.
Well, I'm trying to be far smarter.
I know.
Hey, look, I failed this test last time, so I'm taking no credit here.
Hey, Doug, I know the people that know the answers. I have them on speed dial. I don't do all
There's
this.
There's not that many people, huh?
Well, no, there's not. And, like I said, I told you that 107 quoted some of our research when he was talking about September 11th being the birth of Jesus Christ. And there is so few people in America that know that. And, there's maybe 100,000 or two.
Right.
But for him to know that, he had to be involved with us and my group of researchers to have that kind of information. So, and when I saw him on stage, I wasn't there. I mean, I saw him on stage. I'm sitting there going, was he at my campus? Was he there?
Did he hear you preach, or was he a student of your class?
Yeah, but I don't recognize. But
well, we finally got to see what he looked like the other day.
Yeah, and Billy Falcon was definitely a student at the college that I was at in 1984. Okay. He's a wonderful guy. He's been a great Christian musician for a long time. Anyway, is it to be desired that Congress should always comply with the advice of the president? No, for then his advice would in time come to have the authority of a command. Sound familiar?
Right.
It would be the president and not the Congress who made the laws, and the liberty of the country would be in the greatest danger. There is no more dangerous despot than one who can make his own will obeyed and yet preserve the forms of a free government. And then now he starts quoting Rome to first graders like they understand what he's talking about. That's scary. Augustus Caesar ruled the whole empire with absolute sway, yet he did everything by the resolves of the Senate, as if Rome was free. And then I put a footnote in here. Notice that he implies that the students are already familiar with Roman history. Next question. Suppose some very important matter should happen while Congress is not met. Can the president call them together? You notice it doesn't say, can he act on his own? If some good crisis is about to go to waste, can he act on his own? The students are asked, suppose some very important matter should happen while Congress is not met. Can the president call them together? See, I think he correct. That's right, but that's the correct way to do this, not with executive orders or mandates.
Absolutely, not one executive order after another.
Not ever.
Right.
For any reason whatsoever. And if you read your little book there with the responsibilities of the House and the Senate and the presidency, the House can't vote that authority to the president, which is what they did, the Emergency Powers Act and all those different things. They can't give that authority to the president without the consent of the people, which means a constitutional amendment and 75% of us giving our okay. And yet, because we don't know the first grade level of our Constitution, this stuff just goes right over our head because we're so trusting of the people, but not anymore. He can call either both houses or only one. If any law is to be made, both houses must be called. If only a treaty or an appointment is to be made, the Senate only need be assembled. Suppose when both houses are met, they should find themselves unable to agree about the time at which to adjourn. That is, cease to meet. Can the president end the dispute? Yes, by adjourning both houses. He can make them stop. In that case, when are they to meet again? Anytime the president fixes when he adjourned them, meaning, and this has happened before, president adjourns Congress, 30 minutes later, he calls them back into session before they can get on their horses and carriages and leave Washington, D.C. Has the president any other duty? And this is where it gets important. Yes, this is first grade, remember? He has one great general and constant duty for which all his power is put at his command. It is to care that the laws shall be faithfully executed. That is, whatever Congress orders shall be done, and that whoever disobeys the law shall be punished. Are my life, liberty, and property guarded by the Constitution, so that no man is allowed to touch either of them except according to the law of the land?
Absolutely.
This is Bill of Rights number 4. You're secure in your person, papers, effects, and property. But are my life, liberty, and property guarded by the Constitution, so that no man is allowed to touch either of them except according to the law of the land? They are. Meaning, it's the president's responsibility to protect your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
It doesn't sound like what the current one's doing whatsoever.
Well, no, then you got governors, you got mayors.
Well, you were telling us last time, Jeff, I'm sorry to interrupt you, that each state has its own constitution. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a free and independent sovereign state. But we give up certain things to the federal government. That's supposed to be a collective bargaining system. And the states, I mean, Mississippi has a different constitution than Louisiana. Louisiana actually has a Napoleonic court system. It doesn't have an American court system because it was French. And, you know, the only reason that they joined the Union is because they were surrounded by states that were, and Napoleon sold them out for money to Jefferson to fund his wars. And they got stuck.
Can a state unjoin the Union?
If they're stupid.
That's what I think I asked you last time, and you had the same answer.
Yeah, well, I mean, the truth is true. You know, technically, the Declaration of Independence says it's the right of the people to abolish and start over whenever they feel they're being violated. And so, right now,
that's about where we are, isn't it?
Exactly. Our Constitution has been thrown out the window in so many different avenues, but right here in first grade, we already won the case. No. May a judge contrive new punishments out of his own head to order such as are not in common use for such offenses as has been committed. We see that all the time where a judge will negate a jury. We'll see where a judge will, what are they doing to the guys, the 50 people that they arrested up there for January 6th?
They're trying to put them in jail forever for something that they didn't do anything.
There's been no trial by jury.
Some of them are in jail and not even charged with anything.
Right. And the answer to that is no. A judge can't contrive by his own personal opinion anything. It has to be done by the book, by the letter, and it's real simple. What they've done with all of this, and they violated the first, the second, the fourth, fifth, ninth, and 10th Bill of Rights. And just because we don't know what it means to be secure in your person. And this one's really, really deep. And I think you can handle it. but this might just rock your world. Hopefully it does. Endowed by our Creator is a legal phrase. It's not poetry. It's a legal phrase and a legal document. Wow. And it means that man, as a created being, must be subject to the laws of his Creator. But with man being especially a Christian, it's unique to everybody else in the world. The scriptures tell us you're either a Jew, you're a Gentile, or you're a Church of God. And everybody started out a Jew or a Gentile before they pledged allegiance to Jesus as their king. Romans 10:9 and 10, confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus. That's swear allegiance to a king. So the motto of the American Revolution was no king but Jesus. Smoke that one. That one don't cost you nothing.
Hey, let me interrupt you just for a second because I got to get my sponsors in. It's only going to take about 30 seconds.
Oh, go ahead. Gives me a chance.
Okay, give you a chance to take a drink or something. Okay, guys, don't forget Mike Lindell, #1 patriot in this country. I feel like go over to My Pillow, support Mike Lindell, save up to 66% off with Frog News. Frog News. Use that code. I have got his pillows. I just put the sheets on my bed yesterday. Man, I've never slept so good. The sheets keep you nice and cool in the bed. I have his slippers. I got a lot of things, and I'm just super happy with all of it. As you guys know, I'm an independent distributor for X39 LifeWave. You guys, if you're interested in getting a sample, go over to the website, thefrognewsnetwork.com. There's in the menu you can apply for them. I'm going to start sending out more samples tomorrow. Took last week off. I think I sent out 140 samples the week before, and I'll try to at least match that, if not get to 150 this week. Also, I don't think Jeff had the opportunity to see our Patriot Mobile right there. That's the car I just had wrapped, Jeff. That's pretty amazing looking.
You're not running in NASCAR, are you?
No, but that guy did an awesome job on that car. I'm going to tell you that the police took pictures of that thing. So
I'd be proud to drive that thing.
This is what the hood says: fully rely on God on the badge. But I just wanted to bring my sponsors up because they, My Pillow. Yes, Mike Lindell supports the Frog News Network when you buy from us, but he's been canceled by the cancel culture. So he's using us podcasters, Right Side Broadcasting, whatever other people that are on platforms out here to help sell his product. And I'm proud to carry his product as a patriot like he is. And you're also supporting the Frog News Network. For unseen reasons, I won't be attending the event up in Maryland, but we're looking for some rallies right in our own hometown. And I was actually thinking about our governor's race here in Virginia is super, super close. I was actually thinking about jumping in that car and start following our Republican guy that's running for governor, Youngkin, and following him from stop to stop with the Patriot Patrol car and interviewing people. He's up in Northern Virginia, but that's just 2.5, 3 hours from here. So, or he was just here last week, and and he traveled this whole area where I live, and my brain just didn't put one and one together before I went to Aiken. When I got back, he was right in town. I should have followed him around for a day or two, not to get the exposure, but to interview the people, find out from the people that want to change it from blue to red, what are the reasons you want to change it? Critical race theory. They won't even tell you what they're teaching kids in school. You know what I mean? They want you to sign an NDA to look at the stuff they're teaching your kids. Are you kidding me? But anyways, that's what's going to get him. He's going to win to be governor in our state. I'm convinced of it because he's running against a rhino anyway. But so sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
I had to get everything in, brother. I'm just rambling here in a lot of ways.
Well, that's what I was doing before you got on. I had to do like 20 minutes of not fill, but fill in. And so I went back to what I knew before, I had nothing prepared whatsoever. So I went back to what I learned in the last 11 months and started talking about it. I have no new intel because very little intel at all comes out right now. So because we're so close to the end, I feel like we're very close to the end of it all, but we'll just have to see because people think, when is Trump coming back? It's got nothing to do with Trump. When is God going to move this? That's where we're at now. And God don't move in hours and minutes. He moves when he's ready. You'll know when he moves.
Yeah, like boom.
Yeah. Elijah. We're going to be here. Don't you feel like in your heart, we're going to be here to see when God moves this earth. we're the ones where the grandkids are going to say, my pappy was here when God came.
You know, the monuments of tomorrow haven't been built yet. And it's gonna, you know, our generation is doing something now that is monumental. And so are we going to have statues to Biden, or are we going to have a statue in Newport News to a guy that decided he was going to name his network after a frog? You know what I mean?
Never know. I never know.
But look at how many people you've reached. You've touched the lives of
millions of people.
Right. And, you know, I'm just getting started with all of this. I just came out of my bat cave.
Yeah, I understand. And, you know,
6 or 8 months ago.
You have no idea what that car. I got a giant bullhorn. I'm about to expose all the vaccine clinics right in their parking lot. I told everybody to get their money ready because I might be going to jail. But I'm going to expose it. You know what I mean? Well, why don't people question? I can't even talk about it because we're on YouTube. I can't talk about it.
Right.
But why don't they? Let me see the insert to that anyway. It's there's nothing on it. It's no writing at all on it. So I don't know. I believe God is testing us. Do you know what's right? What's wrong? Do you know you're being deceived? Do you believe everything somebody tells you? Do you not question anything? I think that's where we are right now.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to Jefferson. He says, question everything, even the existence of God, because if he's a just God, his justice is not going to sleep forever.
Absolutely, my brother. Absolutely.
And people take that and they say that Jefferson was an atheist because he said, question even the very existence of God. Well, he's the one that's responsible for the research for the red letter Bible. He did it as a missionary tool to the Indians. He did the chronological order of all the spoken words of Jesus Christ in 4 different languages while president of the United States in the White House. An atheist is not going to pick a Bible up to start with, much less delve into that depth of research.
No.
And, people today say, we didn't say anything about the virgin birth. Well, when was the last time a baby said anything about anything? He didn't say anything about his crucifixion. Well, he didn't have a whole lot to say. He just said it's done. And then he died. And so, but those guys were all in. And if you start going through my book, the very first chapter of the book, other than the introduction, I show you why I started this deep dive into the Constitution was because the Mississippi Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and I hope all your listeners pay real close attention to this because this is the secret to America right here. There's only one way it was built. There's only one way to fix it. And, I've thrown some bombshells out there by saying that they took this out of the Bible. So how do you condense the Holy Bible into this? You can put it in your pocket, and not all of this is the Constitution. It's Declaration of Independence and a lot of other stuff.
Right.
So it's really, really small. But like the First Amendment, the 5 different things in there, that's like 12 different verses of Scripture. Just in that one little.
I never knew that until the first time you came on the show and told us that most of what's in there is written right out of the Bible. The verses came right out of the Bible. And there's a reason behind that. Yeah,
because it's eternal truth. And it's not up to man's. Amen. It's not up to man's personal opinion. It's thus saith the Lord. That's going to work for generations to come. And there's no greater moral code than love your neighbor as yourself. And that love your neighbor as yourself, believe it or not, that's in the Declaration of Independence. It's called the pursuit of happiness. You can't give to somebody what you don't have. And but that's foundation is part of that verse. But here's the thing: the Mississippi years ago, I was running against the Nancy Pelosi of Mississippi. Uh-huh. And she's just as wicked as Nancy Pelosi. And I want to talk with the TAPS guys because I've got a guy that I'm running against, Benny Thompson. Benny Thompson's number 3 in the House.
I'm one of the TAP guys.
I know, but you know, with Toto and all these,
yeah. Well, there's a board of directors. I don't sit on the board of directors,
right?
But I'm one of the guys that
I'm going to be
helps bring people in, and people. I haven't even. It hasn't officially launched, but it's launched. But that's what, when I get Toto on the show, that's when I'll officially launch it. I've had 2 light shows on it, but I want to bring him on and get into how we're going to build this pack. And people often say, "How can I make a difference?" As just one person, like I was telling everybody about the ants dragging the pork chop, or I think it was the hot dogs, what it was. And not one ant could do it, not 100, but 25,000. They were dragging the pork chop. So when we have our strength in numbers like that, that's how you do it. So when you can contribute to a fund that'll put somebody in office that has been vetted by the board, now you're going to be able to go up against the rhinos because they're going to have a meeting. Should we release safer if they're interested in helping? Does he have the right values that we want in order to release the money to him? Will he maintain them values during his campaign? Because they can cut the funds off at any time. That's what it's all about. We're creating no more than what's a PAC. And this PAC will have money to help put candidates in office that normally wouldn't have the funding to do that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to having Shane on, Professor Toto, and explain exactly how this PAC is going to be so powerful. And we were talking about trying to get 100,000 people signed up. I believe before it's over in the first year, I think we can get 100,000 people in each state to sign up.
I think so too. But just think about the fact that we could take out the 3rd most. I mean, you got Schumer, you got Pelosi, you got Benny Thompson, and he's about as senior as you can get. Every year he votes to take "In God We Trust" off the speaker's rostrum up there.
I vote for the frog. Somebody said.
And but he's beatable. He's definitely beatable, and he wants me to be his chief of staff in Washington if he gets elected. So I think he'll make the criteria for the constitutional stuff.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't know a whole lot of it. He's like most Americans, but he knows who to call because he knows I know who to call if I don't know. And
absolutely,
it really, I mean, there's a group of us that have been doing this. I had the privilege of working with the original Freedom Caucus back in 08 and 010. I was part of the team that trained those guys. So Michelle Bachmann, Jim DeMint, Louis Gohmert, Jim Jordan, and a bunch of others. So, you know, I've been around for a while. It's just,
I think I asked you this last time we were on. I used to watch this gentleman every day. He had a show. He was a constitutional scholar and he was really smart. A DC guy. His name was Jerome Corsi, and I haven't seen him ever since January 6th. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah, I've watched some of his stuff, and you know, Chris Ann Hall is good as well. And I'm just getting my platform up and running. It's real archaic at this point, but there's a lot of videos.
Have you taught at colleges before, the Constitution?
Not the Constitution. What I taught was forensic document studies at the university level.
Wow, you're the guy we needed in Arizona.
Well, this was more historical documents.
Right.
Like how to chase a thread of thought back through history and get it to the original.
Oh, I understand.
And so, but it was mostly in the realm of biblical study, like just the King James Bible was written in 1611. The first century was when the original New Testament was written. I think the last book was in like 70 AD. So, but there's been thousands of years of commentaries in the middle. Is what other people wrote about what they think that the scriptures say. And so it's not necessarily that they're wrong, but there are, through the years, especially during the Roman era and the Dark Ages, where the popes were really cruel and were making sure that the scripture said they wanted it to say. and it's the same thing that's going on in America today. If you think about it, he who controls God controls the people. So we are in a post-Christian society now, as that as a culture, a whole culture, because they've fundamentally changed our education system. And which kind of leads me back around to what I was telling you about right there in my book. When I was running for office against this lady, I was naive, but the guys that I was telling you I was working with in Washington and how we need to get on the local level. Well, the head guy, he says, "You're from Mississippi, right?" And I said, "Yeah, why? What's I got to do anything?" He goes, "Let me show it. I don't think you understand what your Constitution has in it. And I think you should run for a state representative. It's the easiest seat to win. And the time is right now with the Tea Party movement getting cranked up. And so in the Bill of Rights, in the Mississippi Constitution, in Article 3, Section 18, it says that the Holy Bible cannot be excluded from any public school in this state.
Really?
And so if it's in the Bill of Rights, it's off limits to the government. You can't discuss it over a cup of coffee at Starbucks. And, I knew that much, but I'd never read my own Constitution. He says, if we can get you elected, then we can get this in the court system and we can shut down Common Core. We can revitalize the whole entire country, because the Mississippi Constitution is the only Constitution that still has it in the Constitution.
Really?
And it's required by Article 4, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution for statehood. And if you think about it, if they took the Bible from that book, and we're endowed by our Creator, and the laws of nature and nature's God is what entitles us to do everything, then we need to know who that Creator is, and we need to know what the laws of nature and nature's God are. And the only place to find that is in the Scriptures. And when they took that out of the schools, they did it without legislative. They did it without the legislature. They did it with a bureaucracy called the NEA and the Department of Education. And they just slowly took it out of the system and numbed the people down to the point now where we can't see the BS before it hits the fan.
Well, and when I went to school, I can remember we ate lunch up till about the 4th or 5th grade. I remember we bring a bag lunch and we ate it in the same room. We didn't go to the cafeteria. And they picked a certain person every day in the 4th or 5th grade now to get up and say a prayer before we ate every day. That's no longer in school. That's not allowed in school. They don't even teach cursive writing anymore. And the only explanation I can think of, they don't want you to be able to read the documents that are in cursive.
That's a lot to do with it. Yep. But you're upper 50s, low 60s?
I'm 60. I'll be 61 November 9th.
I'll be 62 November 13th. So we grew up in the same era.
Right.
And we both grew up in the South. And so that's going to be, it was, yeah. And it was
so when I grew up, my mom, like if she wrote a note for school, what beautiful handwriting she had. It was absolutely just like what was over the chalkboard. And I said, Mom, how did you have handwriting that good? She goes, that goes back to when we were still in New York and she went to Catholic school. And if you didn't make it exactly the same way, they took a ruler to the back of your hand. They actually did that. And that's why they trained her how to have beautiful handwriting. And that's actually how it was done back then. But my mom, she had absolutely great, I guess you would call it something you don't even hear no more, penmanship.
Yeah, penmanship. You should go, just go down the little road there to Williamsburg and go in the Pendleton house.
Okay.
Edmund Pendleton. He was considered the father of America, the first president of the United States.
Really?
And 1774 is when they joined the Union. George Washington was the first president under the Constitution. But we had many presidents before that time. And but anyway, you go into his home there and you go in the kitchen, and this is going to shock some people, But if you go in the kitchen, there's writing paper, there's quill pens, there's slates on the table. And I work with the archivist there, but it's handwriting and it's beautiful script. And I asked them, why is this in the kitchen? Because they had a room where the kids were tutored in another part of the mansion.
Uh-huh.
And it's right there behind the state capitol. That big, huge red building back there.
All right.
But anyway, it said, no, this is where the slaves went to class. This is where the slaves went to school. And some of the writings were the slaves' writing that had been saved through the years. And the penmanship was flawless, was perfect. And so we had this preconception that these people were so evil and so wicked when it came to their slaves. And yet here it is in historical reality that they were teaching their slaves how to read and write and have proper penmanship. And I said, why bother with the slaves? And, I knew, but I wanted to get them on tape.
Right.
And so she said, so they can read the Bible for themselves. Reading the Bible, reading the Bible will make you happier than anything else that you can do. And we want all of our people to, be able to pray and believe. And we're not going to rob even our slaves of that privilege.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's right up the street from me.
Right up the street from you. Yeah.
I'm going to have to get you to come in town and we spend a weekend together in Williamsburg and you show me around and I live here.
Yeah, but you can show me stuff too. I've never made it all the way down.
We'll take you to Yorktown
I made it to Jamestown.
My daughter lives in Jamestown, and I'm only about 8 miles from Yorktown. I'm 10 miles from Williamsburg. I live in Newport News. So there's a lot of our heritage is right here. We were discovered right here.
Yeah.
It all started right here.
Yeah. It's amazing stuff.
But that was the one thing I clearly remember about my mom. But not the only thing, but the one thing that stands out, let's say it that way, was what beautiful handwriting she had.
Yeah.
Let's go to one more thing about handwriting. When Hancock signed the Declaration of Independence, he ticked everybody off because he signed his name so big, correct?
He ticked off the British pretty good. But he did that for a reason, because him and Samuel Adams, they had a bill of attainder out against a lot of the founders. Jefferson was named in the bill of attainder, which we don't have those anymore, which means not only are you killed, but all of your inheritance rights vanish off the earth. So your family name ceases with the bill of attainder. And so after the shooting started, they said, if anybody else will just swear allegiance back to the fold, we'll forgive you. And, talking about the guys that were on the bill of attainder that King George had put out there. And he said, except for John Hancock and Samuel Adams, because they blamed them for the battles that ensued in Massachusetts and how they had basically kicked the British out of Boston and really embarrassed the whole British Empire. And so John Hancock, he wrote it in big letters, here, I'm signing my own bill of attainder, because that's what they were doing, is signing their death warrant. And he wanted to make sure that John Hancock was in your face.
So we're coming up on a little over an hour and a half, and I'm proud to show you this, guys. Mike Lindell actually made us a 1-minute advertisement, so I'm going to run that, and we're going to some final thoughts and close out the show.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. This is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work.
The new MyPillow towels are exclusively made with 100% USA combed cotton with proprietary technology and with maximum absorbency. They dry you faster and are guaranteed to work.
I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow. And to thank you for all your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you get my dog beds for as low as $19.99, or for a limited time, you can get my 6-piece towel sets, regularly $109.99, now only $39.99. The lowest price ever with your promo code.
That's amazing. He sent me that yesterday.
You're
I
famous.
got one about 20 seconds long, and then I'll be done, and then we'll get some final thoughts. This is about 20 seconds. It's about X39.
Hey everyone, my name is Elizabeth Ritchie. I wanted to thank Doug for introducing me and my husband to the LifeWave X39 patches. These patches are revolutionizing. They've totally transformed my life. I've only been using it for 3 days. My husband just started his today. And I just want to say a big thank you again to Doug for helping us out with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So as we wind things up, what would you like to tell our listeners that do you feel like everybody should keep one of these close by, and what's your recommendations where we are right now and how the Constitution can help the average citizen, or anything you would want to close out any remarks with?
I got three quick things.
Okay.
First one, pick your Bible up, start reading it. I would recommend that you read the book of Ephesians first. That's where we get put on the whole armor of God. Read that book first, and then go read any other book of the Bible that you want, and then go back and read Ephesians. Then go read another book of the Bible, and then go back to Ephesians. And just do that all the way through the thing, but always go back and read Ephesians in between the thing, because that's where we learn to stand against the wiles of the devil. It tells you right there in verse 10. This is how you stand against the wiles of the devil. We hear people talk about the Luciferian mafia, blah, 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 blah. We're not playing in the right ballpark, because they're playing in the spiritual world, and we are not.
Right.
So, and Jesus Christ, when he confronted the devil face to face, he simply said, "It is written." So we need to be that sharp with the Bible so that we can stand against the devil toe to toe. Second thing, find anybody that you possibly can that can teach you anything that you can glean about the Constitution. My book, In God We Trusted, the U.S. Constitution and the Restoration of America, is a great tool, because everything in it is certified as 100% accurate. I can't afford to make a mistake, because it'll come back to bite me in court. The third thing that I make available is, and like here, somebody asked me, what do you have about the mandates? I'm trying to find somebody that'll let me put this in the courts, because it will make the Supreme Court refute itself, which they're not willing to do. But go to my website. It's called libertyman.online. Libertyman.online. And send me an email with any question that you can imagine about anything you want to know about American history and the Constitution pre-Civil War. I haven't done a deep dive after the Civil War. I'm working on it. There's a lot in my book about it, but it's a small thread on education from that point on, how it got corrupted and who corrupted it and all that stuff. But there you go. But what I'll do is, you send me a question about anything that you want, and I will send you back the original precedent of whatever it is in simple little form, like we were just reading right here. And I'll make a 15 to 20 minute video to explain it to you, just like the guy in the chariot with Stephen in the book of Acts. You understand what you're reading, and the guy says, "No, I need somebody to explain it to me." So that's what we offer. We offer it pro bono. Of course, we want to make money by selling books, but everything that we produce and everything that we do goes all the way back into making America great again, saving the country, the whole 9 yards. I think $20 is a pittance. You should be doing a whole lot more, and I'm looking forward to contributing mightily. And with the TAPS program. I mean, that's a great way that we can take things over. But if we can talk off after you finish the broadcast, because I got a couple of personal things I want to challenge you with.
Okay.
They're fun things. And also it could greatly help with the TAPS program if we can get these couple of things in actual.
Kendra, go over to the frognewsnetwork.com. They're at the top menu, how to get samples of X39. A sample, you get one. But with that being said, guys, it's been a great show. I always enjoy when Jeff comes on. I learned so much. And I know all the great comments we've been getting, people enjoy what you're teaching them, Jeff. So I would ask you again, because you're better with the words than I am, would you take us out in a short prayer, sir?
Father, we come to you with humble hearts, knowing that, like our founding fathers, when they said that they were going to take their final appeal to the supreme judge of the world, that you're going to rule in our favor, as we have on our great seal, Annuit Coeptus. God has ruled in our favor. So we humbly implore you to forgive us of our shortcomings. And as we do our part in this life, that you are going to guide our steps and you're going to rule in our favor, because we are in a challenge of the gods right now, and all through the Old Testament, beginning with, all the great men of God, where they stood up against the wicked governments and their gods. You always ruled in our favor. Daniel in the lion den, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We will not conform. We will not bend. We will not break. But together as one family, with the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man, we can restore our country once again to that one that claims that we are one nation under the ruling authority of you. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
All right, amen. Hey, look, guys, it's always the same. If we just help one person understand a little bit, maybe more about the Constitution today, we feel like we've done our jobs, because it's just one person at a time. When we come together, when I first started doing this, I thought when we bring two people together, it was 1,000 strong. I learned it's 10,000 strong. When we come together under God's name, we're his army. We're his digital army right now. And God's never won a war without his people. We're his people. We're fighting the war right alongside of him. So remember, we're all in this battle together. I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys coming and watching us Froganites, us Patriots. Guys, you have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night. Let me end this.